Karen,
Brian,
it's another LocTalk.
so happy to see you. How are you?
So happy to see you too. We're very far away once again.
I
Another
know.
episode where we're on different continents, thousands of miles away from each other.
Well, soon enough, we should do a Lock Talk in person together, side by side. That would be
I
fun.
know, I was thinking that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool one day.
Yeah. So who's our guest?
We have a very wonderful guest today. He's eloquent and an incredible athletic sort of individual focused on running mainly, but he's inspired me as a runner. I mean, we're going to talk about that for sure. And as part of the head of the athletics masters of Ontario, he has gained a lot of awards and a lot of recognition, and for his volunteer work as well. And so
He's a real
wonderful.
Inspiration.
He is a real inspiration, and he's a massive lockhead.
I know. And I think he's even older than you, Brian.
No, that's not possible.
I know you're a vampire. It's fine. Should we let him into the room? Let's have a conversation.
Let's meet Shaggy Smith.
Yeah. Woohoo, Shaggy.
Hey, Shaggy. Where are you, dude? There we are.
Yeah. How are you, Shaggy? It's so good to see you.
Long time no see.
I know.
Hey, Brian.
Shaggy.
Brian, you don't have the shop open, do you?
Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, you do. Oh.
Yep. Since July, we've been open. We're at still 50% capacity, but we're chugging along.
Right.
Yep.
So everybody,
to meet you in person at the salon while Karen was maintaining your locks. Seems like a long time ago.
It's a lot has happened.
Yeah.
What's going on, Shaggy?
Just a regular in lockdown, so we don't have any. I do a lot of the meet directing for masters track and field meets and cross country and stuff. So our indoor season so far has all been canceled. So we're looking forward to the end of the month when we can reopen the indoor facilities and start our indoor meets. So I'm doing a lot of that stuff and basically just running from home and having my nap and looking after the fish and looking after the cats and just all the regular stuff.
A good life. Well, I mean, I know your regular routine, and Brian knows you a little bit. Of course, our listeners and viewers are going to get to meet you for the first time, many of you. And so what I think is so great about talking to you today, first of all, is we were mentioning, Brian was mentioning about all of your athletic credits and your involvement in the Ontario Masters. And we would love to hear more about that. And of course, you've been my client for almost 10 years.
2 weeks from now will be the 10th anniversary, yes.
Yay!
Visiting Karen at her home on Bathurst, south of King, I believe, around there. And,
north of King, yeah.
Yeah. And realizing she used cash and I didn't have any, so I was searching for the ATM and I couldn't remember my PIN number. Oh yeah, it was a real mess, that one. But it went up from
really
there.
Don't remember that.
The experience went up from there and it was most pleasurable now.
The things we remember.
I know, hilarious.
But I actually have prepared. Oh, sorry, Brian.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's where I met Karen. No, I met you first at the studio on Bathurst, south of Queen, in the big building there, the loft space. That's where I first met you. That's where you did my maintenance for the first time.
So does that mean we've known each other over 10 years?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And then you were in the house south of that space.
Yeah, and that's where I met Shaggy. Yeah.
That's where you met Shaggy. Oh, I thought you knew Shaggy before me.
No. I know we look like we just, we go back. It's like,
yeah,
very comfortable. I'm so glad that you're here on the show with us today, because I think, as I said, you're such an inspiration. You're an inspiration to young people and to older people who see your hair and think, wow, like I wish I could do that, or I want to do that. Do you get that? Do you get asked that, or do people ask you that a lot? Talk about your hair?
You get a lot of comments like, somebody's driving by, hey, I love the hair or something, or a young guy will go by, often a young guy, and he'll go, hey, man, I like that hair, man. People my age, not so much. I don't know, they might, I don't, well, for one thing, they probably don't have hair, so people my age, so they really can't do it. But mind you, Karen can do miracles with a couple of strands of hair. Oh, you'd look like Bob Marley in a couple of hours. So,
all you need is two strands.
You do get a lot of comments. Negative comments, over 10 years, I've had 2 negative comments, two.
Do you remember what they were?
Oh, well, yeah, just a misappropriation of culture. So they're, of course, thinking about Jamaican dreadlocks, and I counteract with, no, I'm trying to be a sadhu, the Indian holy men who have massive, massive dreadlocks. So I go with the sadhu thing. But no, always positive comments. It's great. It's fun. It's just part of me, who I am now. I don't even think I have, you're not thinking about it until you look in the mirror and go, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I look like that.
But you've been running for how many years, and then having the locks, that must have been a transition to get used to running with them.
Not really. I've been running for a long time, 40 years, but if it's a specific kind of race where you're moving around a lot, I might tie them back, but normally I leave them down. Especially I do the steeplechase where you're jumping over the barriers into the water, and there's those shots when you're just pass over the barrier and you're in midair over the water, and the hair is just out, like flowing at the back, or like this, or they're just great shots.
Dude, there's one right behind you.
Oh yeah, I was doing the hurdles, and there was a photograph, and somebody painted it.
Oh, that's a painting?
Yeah, they painted the photograph, like from the photograph. That's a painting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm flying over the hurdle there.
Looks like a photograph.
Yeah, there's pre dreads.
Wow.
Did you hear about my medal from the Queen?
I was gonna mention that. Please tell us about it. That's incredible. Wow.
There's the note from the Governor General, and they usually do the presentation at Rideau Hall, in person, that room at Rideau Hall, and they're handing out Order of Canada and stuff. So it's the highest award given to a volunteer in Canada. So I've been volunteering for the Masters administration for 30 years, and I've also been the starter for the Toronto District School Board track meets and cross country for 20 years. So my friends in the club put this thing together where they applied, and you go through all this paperwork, which I didn't know anything about. And they get references, and Governor General's office is calling them the references, and they're kind of lying, going, yeah, Shaggy's a pretty good guy, and all this stuff. And anyway, the Governor General's office contacted me, and I'm going, what could they want? And sure enough, so there it is.
Congratulations.
You can only wear it at specific times. You can't wear it like now, or if I was going to see Brian and Karen at the shop, it has to be like a formal setting, perhaps like some kind of awards for perhaps like Athletics Ontario is who I volunteer for. So at the next Athletics Ontario Awards banquet, then I could wear it. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's an honor.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. The list of accomplishments and awards, and just
too many to mention.
Huh?
Too many to mention.
You're so cute. But not only that, you've been a vegan for how many years?
A vegan for 19 years coming up, but a vegetarian for 30 years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, before, young people were understanding the importance of plant-based foods. And I mean, you just really, I'm sure it's the people that that have talked to you and have met you over the years have just been so inspired by you. You probably don't even realize how much inspiration you're spreading out there to other people.
Yeah, thanks. I don't want people often mention vegans are like in your face and they're bugging you when you're eating your hamburger. I've never been like that. I try not to be like that. I'm just doing my thing. Basically, it's for the animals. Like I just can't eat an animal. And if people see that as an example, that's great. You know, but I would never harangue somebody for doing something. So.
Yep. And that's why you're an inspiration, because you're not pushing people to
Perhaps.
your own reasons. You know, that's what makes a difference. And I think that's what makes people stop and go, yeah, I can appreciate that, you know. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. What a way to represent. Yeah, I'm sort of struggling with the whole meat eating thing lately, more and more these days. And yeah, so I'm probably going to get there at some point. I have a blood condition. It's called thalassemia. It's like a red blood cell deficiency. And so years ago, one of the doctors that I had told me that I had to eat meat to get the right kind of iron, carnitine, and the right kind of proteins. But I believe that that's not really true anymore. Like a little bit of research that I've done has, sorry?
The science has evolved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, again, a prime example that Shaggy is a vegan and a runner. And, you know, am I allowed to tell people how old you are?
Go ahead.
Well, I know that you celebrated your 70th a couple years ago.
No. Just last September. So
September.
I'm 70 and a half, 70 and 6 months.
Okay. See, time warp, you know, the pandemic, I thought that, I guess we had been talking that you were going to be 70 for so long.
Yes, in the masters world, in the masters athletics world, we compete in 5-year age groups. So when you turn 70, you're a new guy. And when the lineup at the World Championships is, you know, M70 report for the 1500 meters, there's a bunch of guys, 12 or 14 guys, and they're all 70. And I'll be 70, and some of the other guys will be 74, which is a big difference at our age, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
So how's your body? How is your body holding out with running all these years?
No problem. Nothing worn out. Some people get arthritis and stuff. The only place I have arthritis is in my thumbs, which is quite common. And not that I like play tennis or anything. It's just that seems to be a place where you get it. And it's, I can't open jars anymore. So somebody got me a very handy thing that, whoop, it opens the jars. But otherwise, legs are fine. Heart's fine. I had heart issues about 2 years ago, and they did every test. And at the end, the cardiologist had me in his office, and he says, look, you got the heart of an 18-year-old. I'll never see you again in your life. So have a good life. And, okay, that's good to know.
You do have the heart of an 18-year-old and the energy of an 18-year-old.
Well, when I'm running, come nap time.
Naps in, you know.
I don't know if 18-year-olds nap as much as, although they don't get up till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right?
That's
so
true.
Yeah, we probably balance is the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So how often do you run during the week? How many times?
Oh, every day.
Oh, you run every day?
Every day. Unless I took today off, actually, because I've been getting a little tired, and I don't usually take a day off. I don't like, it doesn't hurt me to take a day off, but because we were doing this at 11, and you know, I'm doing my Sudokus and drinking my espressos till about 11. So maybe I'll do some weights or something in the afternoon.
So that was my question leading up to what your routine is, stretching and working out with weights. Is that something that you do religiously too?
I can lie and say I religiously do yoga, which I've done for years, and my weights, but I'd be lying. I I always intend to do them, and sometimes just, I don't know, you just get lazy. So
But
it's
you are
the
setting your
atmosphere.
intention.
Oh yeah, but just the atmosphere of every day is kind of the same, and you just kind of get sluggish in the afternoon, and I'll do it tomorrow. But I usually do, or I mean, in the past, I've usually done yoga every day and weights, a couple of times a week.
That's good.
Because you lose, of course, you lose muscle mass when you get older, as everyone knows, and you can kind of counteract that by doing weights.
Preventing it, yeah.
Yeah, I find the stretching is so important for me. Like if I don't stretch every day, I really feel it the next day. And
Yeah.
like my joints, everything, you just feel creakier. And if I stretch in the
Hey,
morning,
what's that? But when we were 20, who was stretching, really?
yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
But there's a yoga pose that I was never actually good at, where say you're laying on your stomach and you bend your knees and you reach back and grab your ankles and then like just stretch your quads. In the past, the instructor would come and help me to find the foot, because I couldn't quite reach them. And now forget it. I mean, seriously, if I'm kneeling down, and if you're kneeling and you want to bend back, to touch your heels, nowhere, I'm waving. Where are those heels? No. And
I
like
thought
putting
you were
your,
going to say the opposite. And now I can just lean back. I don't
no,
need anyone to
like
help.
it's a cliche and people say this often, but it's putting your pants on in the morning. You can get the first leg in, but you're trying to get the second leg around and you're reaching and you're pulling and oh man.
Well, it's those skinny jeans you wear, Doug.
It's a true
You get the
yogi who
baggier
can't get his
pants.
pants on, right?
Sorry.
That's hilarious. So things are opening up at the end of the month. So the end of January, the athletic centers and stuff will be open. And so you'll be able to start training as a group again and working towards the different races, right, that are coming up.
Yeah.
So what is it always the annual international meets that you focus on, or do you have a lot of smaller meets too that you do?
Well, because I'm the meet director, I'm focusing on everything we do. So we've got like a small, we call them mini meets. We've got a small mini meet coming up in like 3 weeks at the Toronto Track and Field Center at York. And then we have our Ontario Indoor Championships at York in the end of March. And then we have not much until the summer where we have our outdoor championships. But this year is supposed to be the World Championships for Masters in Finland. Now, we had won the bid for the World Championships in Toronto in 2020. That was, I worked on that for about 5 years. We put together a great LOC, a local organizing committee. We had sponsors, we had the government behind us, everything. We were all set to go in 2020. And of course, we had to pull the plug. We pulled the plug in about March, and there was no World Championships in 2020. So for 2021, they said, you want to delay for a year and do it in 21. And we couldn't, because the 2 of the 3 tracks we were using are no more. Like York University spent millions on a track up there for the Pan Am Games, and they tore it up. So we couldn't do it in 21. So they asked Finland, could you, because they were 3rd place in the ballot when we won. Sweden was 2nd and Finland was 3rd. So they asked, Sweden wasn't interested. So Finland said, yeah, we can do it in 21. So it came to about this time in last year in 21 when the COVID was still there, and they pulled the plug on Finland. They said, no, can't do it in 21. So could you do it in 22? And they said, yeah, okay, we'll do it in 22. So that they're in exactly the same spot as they were last year. They're supposed to put it on in June. COVID's running rampant in Europe, especially. And we're just waiting for them to pull the plug. So that's So there may not be a Worlds again this year. That'll be 3 years in a row. But after that, there's the cross country season where we've been able to have cross country races all through the pandemic. 2021, we had like 5 people start at each time, like in waves, staying apart. So we would, but they would all be timed by a chip in their shoe that would cross the mat. So we knew exactly what the time was. So we were right through the pandemic, we've been able to run cross country, and we had a full season this past season. And so that's what to look forward to. So there's always something going on in my life as a meet director.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, everything's shifted outside now. And restaurants are now closed in Toronto, Ontario. And they too, I guess, will be opening up at the end of the month. So,
50% capacity, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And last year, I remember seeing these bubbles, like these domed little bubbles everywhere outside people's restaurants. And they had a bunch of them under the Beltway, which is near Fort York, with little outdoor eating sort of establishments with candles in them and stuff. It was so cute, but I haven't seen any of those yet anywhere. Do they have those in Iceland, Karen? In Reykjavik? No?
No, we don't need them. No, I mean, the restaurants never shut down in Iceland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the population is so small, right? They can spread out, and there's not as much traffic because there's not as much tourism. So they wouldn't go to that extent to building little bubble private seating, outdoor seating for that. But it'd be nice to do. I mean, it could be trendy. Yeah. Especially for cold days, being in a little warm bubble outside by the ocean. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it looks super cool too.
Doug, you got to get your way up to Iceland too. You got to come here. Run the mountains.
Reykjavik has a nice marathon, I've heard.
Yes, there's actually, I think, 2 or 3 that they do a year. Different one. Yeah.
I think, is there one you run around the volcano lip of the volcano and the last guy falls in or something? Yeah.
Yeah, something like
that. What's the volcano doing? Is the volcano still active?
Yeah, it's not so interesting now. It hasn't been on the news or anything. So I think, but it's still going. So it could go for another decade. We don't really know.
See, Brian, see how cool they are? Like if we had a volcano like in Newmarket that was spewing shit, it'd be in the news every day, right? It's just a volcano.
Yeah. Is it still actually flowing, the lava flowing?
I don't think it's flowing anymore. If it is, it's going really slow. As I said, I haven't been paying attention to the news, but there was at a point a couple months ago where they were worried about it reaching the main road, which if it crossed over the road, then it would block, the way to the north or one of the directions out of Reykjavik. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted if another eruption happens. It's funny because the last time I came to Toronto, and we're getting way off topic here, but the last time I went back to Toronto, I literally just missed 2 weeks of crazy earthquakes here in Iceland. And like Keflavik, where the airport is, they were getting nonstop earthquakes and tremors almost 24 hours a day for days on end, to the point where people were getting seasick just being on land. Yeah. And I didn't experience any of that. So yeah.
That's crazy. There is a New Yorker article about the huge earthquake that happened in the 1800s.
Yeah.
On the West Coast. It is phenomenal. I have to send it to you guys. And because they're saying that it's pending, and all these tremors and everything that are happening all over the planet, it's because the shifting is about to happen. And so they've been calling for this really massive earthquake on the West Coast for a long time. And so who knows?
Yeah, but we'll just, as humans do, we just live day to day and we don't really plan. We're not, we're just not built to plan for things that of that nature because we don't know how it's gonna end up. I mean, do you have an emergency kit with like walkie-talkies in it and in case of the zombie apocalypse? Like
Yeah,
Well,
that's all in the bomb shelter out by the pond.
you know that Doug has a pond with like huge koi, beautiful, beautiful fish. How are they
Yeah.
doing?
lakeshaggy.com.
LakeShaggy.com.
Lakeshaggy.com. One
Okay.
word, lakeshaggy.com. Fish are fine. It's about 22 degrees. I keep the water at 22, and I've got the whoops. You can kind of see the shed there I built over the pond.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, I can go in there and feed the fish, and of course I keep it heated. And
Wow, you are hardcore. I have a pond. It's totally frozen over except for a bubbler.
yeah, that's the back pond. I have a pond at the back for goldfish, and I keep the bubbler, and the hole's about keeps it about that open, which is fine.
Yeah.
And with the funny thing in the spring, you wonder what the goldfish are doing all winter. In the spring, there's a whole bunch of little tiny fry, so there's some monkey business going on under the ice. They're not just hibernating.
Yeah. I love koi. They're beautiful. We only have 2 now. We used to have 30,
Wow.
but it's a
Yeah,
long, horrible story that I'm not going to bore everyone with. But a bunch of
yeah,
them died.
yeah. You get them dying. They just die like people die. Like they get older and they die. And I haven't replaced any for a couple of years now because I thought I had too many. I had like about 30, and if somebody passes on, he's buried in the back, and I don't replace him. So I've got about 22 now. Oh yeah, there's cats and fish back there. Archaeologists are going to be digging this up in 300 years. So, wow, this was there was some kind of cult that was doing these sacrificial rites, cats everywhere.
It's the Shaggy cult.
Yes. Yeah, there'll be evidence. See, here's the cult leader. Here's a picture of him.
Yeah.
Well, I think today has been really nice to catch up with you. It's been so great for us to share your story with people, to let them know like that it doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, what your lifestyle is, that locks are for everybody, for anyone. Do you have any advice or any last like bits of wisdom that you want to share about your dreads and what they mean?
I guess some people are pretty spiritual about them. To me, it's just hair. It's hair coming out of your head. They get to be somewhat long. Now, I did cut them off. I cut about, I'd say, that much off when the pandemic hit, and we canceled the Worlds. I just got kind of bummed out, and I just, cut them down to they were fair, down to about there, just to be short. They grow back. It's just hair, but I just love them. If I can make somebody smile, that's great. I just posted on Facebook this story. If I may, I was out on my run and I was coming back up the hill from the park, which goes by an old folks home. And there was this little old lady. She seemed to be Polish. She talked to me, and she was trying to clean off the bench where you wait for the bus with the end of her cane. And so, of course, I stopped and I, wiped it all off and wiped it off. And she goes, "Oh, thank you very much." I can't do an East European accent, but, "Oh, thank you very much. I've always loved hippies. I was never a hippie. But I always loved them." And groovy, baby. So she wasn't sure what to make of me, but she thought it must be an old hippie.
Aww.
That is awesome. I think, yeah, that illustrates a point. I mean, people tend to sort of live vicariously through us, I think, in some way, they don't really think that they could do it. a lot of people. I think people like the originality, the artistic sort of connotation, and but they just don't have the guts to do it or whatever. And so I think a lot of people respect us, and they just kind of they think it's cool, and so that's what I get mostly.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Karen. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for Karen, it wouldn't have happened, because I remember I was, for some reason I got it in my head because my hair was quite long, and I thought, geez, dreadlocks. Like, and I searched online. Yeah, guys, and you get them done. And it happened that a new person on our club had dreadlocks. She was Korean. And I said, oh, would you get that? Karen Wallington. Oh, I saw her on the web, and so I went and made an appointment. Boom, and the rest is history.
That's amazing.
And a friendship was built. That was
Yes,
definitely
very nice.
Thank you, Doug. I'm so glad you're here today, and that you're healthy and happy, and the fish are warm, and the running is going to start again, and we will see each other very soon, I hope.
Okay, yes. You take care, Brian.
You too, Doug. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks everybody for listening and watching. We really appreciate you. And until next time.
Subscribe below. Subscribe below.
LocTalk.